Good morning, I'm Brad Phillips. I'm here with Puppy Steps Training, and we are going to be doing Daisy's demonstration today. I got here in the crate with me. We're excited to send her home. She is a really smart dog. We've been really happy with the way that she performs during training and just the way that she's been. She's got a wonderful personality as well. I think you guys are just going to really enjoy her. She's just a real sweetheart of a puppy. So we are going to do the whole demonstration now, go through all 5 phases, starting with socialization, manners, obedience, commands, house training, and leash training. But before we do that, there's just a couple little things that I like to cover. First and foremost, just remember that OK is the marker and the release word. And so it marks a correct behavior and releases from a state. She's associated that word, that every time that we use it, it means that she's done the action correctly and there is some type of reward coming. Now on the other hand, we also have a correction, which is no or nope. Now we use that kind of based on the behavior that she's just displayed. If it's something simple like she breaks a stay, I'll tell her no and I'll have her do it again. Whereas if it's something more serious, like she tried to jump up on me, she tried to steal food out of my hand, I would be a little bit more commanding in my tone. I'd adjust that voice fluctuation as well as my body language. The other thing that I like to just mention is just the secret to all dog training, which is consistency. And so especially with a puppy this young, it is so important that you are consistent when you get her home in your household, that you do things consistent as a family, and that you make sure that you're consistent in rewarding as well as correcting. If you can be as close to 100% with presenting some type of reward for a correct behavior up until the age of 1, it basically becomes muscle memory, as well as they've developed enough respect for you just to do it out of that respect. We do use 3 types of rewards. We use food, we use toys, and we use compassion. So now we'll just talk briefly about socialization, and then I will get her out and we'll do the manners and the commands and stuff. So socialization is the most important part to me. What we did is just make sure that we get her around new people, new places, sounds, animals, basically as many new situations as possible in a controlled environment as we can. That way, with that controlled environment, we can basically control the outcome. We can make sure that if she's a little bit nervous of something, we can back her up and make sure that she has a positive experience in that uncomfortable situation. That way we don't have any severe timid issues, anxiety, or aggression. As well as we do commands on different surfaces, and we try and add new distractions and continue that socialization throughout the whole program. During the transition period, which is 2 to 4 weeks, as she comes into your home, there is going to be some of that same stuff going on. She's going to have to get used to you, as well as her new home and her new environment and the sounds that are associated there. And so if she seems a little bit nervous, just get her engaged with you, give her treats, give her love, just make it really fun as well as rewarding in that new and uncomfortable situation. So with that now, we are going to pull her out and we'll show you what we've been working on. So the first manner we are going to cover is her gates and her doorways. And so we expect that anytime she comes out of the crate or she uses a house door or a gate, that she will wait or stay at that doorway so she's not busting through. Now, with all of these commands and these manners and things, we've got her up to our standard. And so when she comes home, that transition period, sometimes we'll stress her out as well as she is a puppy. And so if she does break, just tell her no and have her do it again. Always end on a correct behavior. And so if I was letting her out and she tried to walk out, I might simply lift my leg and block her, might close the door. It wouldn't be unless she was just really persistent on pushing her way out that I would actually tell her to stay. So we'll get her out. Okay, good girl, good girl. Now I'll show you the house door when we do go outside. But the next manner is what she just did there. We expect her to sit before we give her any attention, and that is our greeting. And so once she's sitting, I'll go down, I'll pet her, I'll make it, I'll say hi, make it really rewarding that she's doing the right thing. And so that's kind of the first step to showing that respect and that leadership, is that sitting for a greeting. And so if she at first hesitates, just ask her to sit. And so, come here, Daisy. And And so before I give her attention, good girl, expect that sit. Oh, that's a good girl. And she is kind of a really jumpy puppy, and so that is so important that you expect that greeting, because that helps a ton with the jumping. But also what it does is it gets her eye contact. With a puppy, they have basically a single track mind. Whatever they're looking at, that's what they're going to be focused on. And so if you can get that eye contact, you know that she's focused on you. Oh, that's a good girl. And if you have that engagement, you know that you can then give her another command and that she is going to be paying attention. Good girl. Good girl. Now we'll talk a little bit about her mealtime manners. So I'm just going to give her just a small portion of her meal, just because we have already had breakfast this morning. And so anytime I feed her, I expect her to hold a sit stay. So if she's already sitting, I'll just ask her to stay. Okay, good girl. Also during her meal, we like to make sure that she's not going to be food aggressive, and so handling her while she eats. Sometimes I'll even just get a small treat and throw it in there, give it to her, make it so that it's more positive that I'm right here next to her than negative. And that's so important if you are going to have small kids around your dog. That way if they crawl up to her food bowl, they're not going to get growled or nipped out. Just talking a little bit more about aggression. If there was any aggression, we'd take care of it, but she doesn't have any. But we also just like to make sure that she's not going to be aggressive towards me handling her. And so we make sure to touch their paws, their ears, tail. We just want to make sure that she's comfortable with being handled. And that is so important for any of these doodles. Just if they're going to have to get groomed, they're going to be handled, as well as clipping nails. So the one time, well, I have one rule regarding aggression, that even if you have just the sweetest dog ever, which Daisy is very, very sweet, is that if kids are going to play with my dog, they have to have a toy. It's so often that dogs trying to play with children gets mistaken for aggression, because they're running along, they either run the kid over, they grab a pant leg or an arm, which they're just trying to play, but then it's mistaken for aggression. So I always have my kids, if they're playing with one of my dogs, they have a toy. That gives her something to go after. If they're running, she's going to go after this instead of a pant leg, as well as if they get nervous, they can throw the toy, and she's going to go for the toy instead of the kids. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Which she loves to play. Good girl. Good girl. And so along with just her playing, we have taught her the command drop it. And so if I get her to take hold of it, fall off the bed, she just doesn't want to hold on to it. So if she has a hold of it and I want it, or we're playing, I'll just ask her to drop it and expect her to release it. So I'll catch her halfway back now. Drop it. Drop it. Good girl. And just like that, I expect her to give it up. Now, if she had something that she didn't want to give up, maybe something like this bully stick, if it's long enough, I'd just take it on both sides and I'd hold it really still, and so she can't chew on it, she can't play with it. Drop it. Good girl. But I'd hold it really still if you can, and if she doesn't spit it out, you can just turn your knuckles in and you just pinch her lips against her canines a little bit. You're not trying to hurt her at all, but it's just a little bit of discomfort so she'll open her mouth. And if for some reason she still didn't open up, you can slip your thumb right behind those canines and press down on her tongue, and she'll open her mouth as wide as she can. But she's done great with that. Of course, we play with her quite a bit with toys, and she loves to play, and so it's important that drop it command is there. It's also important, especially with like a plush toy like this, that you're never trying to yank it out of her mouth, because it's so easy to pull those baby teeth out, and so you don't want that. Which I gave her the bully stick, smashed it on the toy. But you can play tug with your dog, Just don't try and yank it out of her mouth when you're done. Instead, once you're done, stop, hold it really still, ask her to drop it. Yeah, you do it for a minute. The other command that we have that deals with her mouth, or her other manner, is I want to make sure that she's very cautious taking food. And so we have taught her gently, and I'll use that. If she were to rear up, I would pull it back, tell her gently, or if she was just really excited and I was nervous she was going to grab my hand. So I just tell her gently, and she should be very careful taking food out of your hand. It's also important that you give it to her in the palm of your hand. That way, she can't really grab your whole hand, so you're a little bit protected there. But if you give it to her between your thumb and forefinger, you're just asking her to bite your fingers. As well as if it's in the palm of your hand and she were to lunge up, it's just a natural reaction to close your fist and pull away. And so that way you're kind of guarding the treat. She's not getting it if she's doing an incorrect behavior. Good girl. Now, the next couple manners are ones that are going to be very important for you as she transitions into your home. The first we'll talk about is chewing. And she is teething, or she will be teething. I don't even think that she's started yet. But in the next couple weeks, she will be teething, and so chewing has to happen. It's one of those behaviors that you can't get around. She has to chew. And she's going to chew based on what her mouth needs. And so we train on a base of avoiding and replacing. If you can avoid giving her free access to toys, to shoes, to pillows, anything you don't want chewed up, that's your best way to prevent an accident from happening. However, it's not really possible in your home. There's always something that she has access to. And so that's where replacing comes in. If she went up and you had a soft bed for her or a pillow, she started chewing on it, I would tell her no, I'd remove the object, and I would replace it. Give her something that matches the texture. Something soft like that soft bed, give her something soft. She starts chewing on a table leg, give her something hard like a bully stick, match the texture. Shoelaces, give her a rope. Now, boredom is the number one cause of all chewing disasters. There's two sides to that. One, you give her something like that toy, she plays with it a while, and you just leave it out. She has free access to her toy. Quickly, she will become bored with her own toys, and she will go find something new to chew on. So it's important that if I was playing with her, and she dropped the toy, I just pick it up, remove the object. She doesn't have free access to it. That way it's still fun when you pull it out again. Same thing with like a bully stick. If she's chewing on it, she gets up and leaves, take it away, she's done. Now, the other side of boredom is you have a downtime, she's laying next to you, whether you're reading a book, watching a show, and she's bored, she has nothing to do. Sometimes they'll just go try and find something to chew on. And so in that case, I would just put her on the bed next to me, and I would give her something like a bully stick to chew on. And then once she's done, take it away. Good girl, huh? Good girl. So it's really important that you're good and quick at replacing, especially during these first couple weeks as she transitions into your home. That way you're teaching her what's hers and what's yours. The next one that's going to be important is the command off, and so that's if she's jumping. Like I said, she's a very, very jumpy puppy, which most puppies are, and so we've taught her the command off, and that's whether she tries to jump on you or up onto a couch or anything like that. So if she were to jump up, I'd tell her off and expect her to get down. This is one of those commands that can be accompanied with our only physical correction, which is a leash correction. Now, when I say leash correction, you're not trying to yank her back or pull her over, but all we do is 2 quick pops. You're not, like I said, you're not trying to pull her back or anything. All it is basically just to get her attention and then give her the command that follows. And so a couple things to remember. If she was running at you and you're like, oh, she's going to jump on me, it is important that you never step backwards. As soon as you step backwards, that becomes a game. You're encouraging the jump, and she's probably just going to come even harder. Instead, I will always step into the jump. That way, I'm restricting space. A lot of time you're throwing off timing. She's not going to jump anyway. But if she does jump, she's coming straight up, and I'm going to bring my knee into her chest and block her. And then I will tell her off. And what you're looking for is the replacement behavior of her coming up and sitting as a greeting. So if she decided that she wanted to jump on a member of your family, which sometimes happen, they'll pick one person that they think is lower than them in the pack, and that's going to be the person that they might try and steal food from or jump on. What I like to do is I'll take them by the leash and I'll have that person call them, and I'll walk her up to them, and if she sits down, have them pet, make it really exciting, really rewarding. If she tried to jump, I tell her off, 2 leash corrections, turn around, walk away. Do that 3 or 4 times until she comes up and sits. But she has done really, really well with the jumping. I've just been really happy with how far she's come. But the other thing just to remember with it is you also never want her to jump at food. Come here. And so if she were to rear up, which I might be able to tempt her a little bit, I'll just tell her, I'll either do that, or no, and then I'll tell her gently, and expect her to keep all 4 paws on the ground. So, I believe that's it with our manners. So we're going to move into our obedience commands now. So during this section, we're going to cover all of our obedience commands. And so we'll start with come and watch me. And then I will show you hand signals for sit and down. I'll show you her down, stay, as well as her sit, stay, crate, go to bed, and leave it. And so we'll start with the 2 most basic, the ones that we taught her from day 1. And the first one is just to get her eye contact. Watch me. Okay, good girl. And so when I say that, I expect her just to, whatever she's doing, stop and look at me. And I'm going to mark it as soon as I get her eye contact. Doesn't matter if she's 15 feet away or right in front of me. As soon as she makes eye contact, it's okay. And then I'm going to give her a reward. I'm going to keep that command super, super positive. And so every time I ask for it, there is a food reward, because food is such a high motivator. Watch me. Okay, good girl. The reason that is so important is it goes back to what we were talking about, the greeting. You get eye contact, you have 100% of her attention. And so it can be used as simply as you're in the kitchen cooking, you drop something, you just need her eye contact so you can pick it up. Or it can be as complex as she's running into traffic. Okay, outside. Which we're going to take her out to the bathroom real fast. And then we'll pick up where we left off. Okay. Okay. Once again, she's also expected to wait at doorways. We will talk about the house training in detail here in just a minute. But just going back to that command, it can, getting her eye contact can stop her from running into traffic or chasing something off, as long as you keep it very positive and you keep it so that her looking at you is more rewarding than doing whatever she was prior. I also treat her name the same way, and just getting her to look at me. Daisy! Okay, good girl. You'll notice that if all I'm looking for is her eye contact, I'm going to try and say her name the exact same way as I do the watch me command. Good girl, good girl. So the next one, simply enough, is come. It's kind of hard to show you in the small barn, but I will lead with her name just to get her attention. And so, Daisy, come! Good girl. And all I'm asking her to do is come to me. I'm not going to wait for her to sit or anything. I'm going to mark the behavior as soon as she gets to me. So, we have worked on the come command outside with other dogs around, getting some distance, really trying to make sure that that command is solid. Now, that is one command that a lot of people do kill. And the reason they kill it is 1, overuse, or 2, they basically use it when they know that she is going to fail. And, there's actually a third reason that it gets killed, and that's when people punish their dog when they actually come. And so we'll talk about all 3 just for a second. The first, overuse. You'll use the command when she's 3 feet away in the house, and just repeatedly, all the time, you're asking her to come. Instead, if I don't have to ask her that command, especially if she's right here, I won't. Instead, it'll be, come here. Something like that, Get her to come to me without using that command. That way, when I use that command, she has to do it. She knows that she has to do it. It's just really, it's just a really positive command. So what I do to prevent that command from dying is, 1, don't overuse it. 2, I'll make sure that I keep like a strict 10 to 1 repetitions. And so if I'm outside in the backyard, I'll take my little bag of treats, sit down, let her run around. She's playing. Every minute or two, I'll stop, call her to me, give her a reward, let her go again. And so that way it's super rewarding. She's coming to me, as well as she's getting a treat, and she's being able to still continue to play. It's not like she's getting locked up every time. Instead, there's 9 times of her coming, she runs up, she gets a treat, she runs away and goes and plays again. For that one time that you call her to come and you go inside or she goes in the crate. The other thing is, say she is out chasing a squirrel or something. You call her to come and she doesn't. So then you yell at her and she turns around and she finally comes back to you. You should never scold your dog. Right? Even though she didn't respond the first time, she eventually turned around and came to you. She's thinking she's doing it right, and then you punish her. And so then she starts to figure out that, that command, instead, I'm just going to turn around and run the other way because I don't want to get corrected. So that's come. If we go outside, I'll try and remember, and I'll show you that we can do it with some distance as well as some distractions. But once again, the expected behavior is just that she comes to me. Daisy, come! Good girl, good girl, good girl. So now I'll show you our 3 hand signals. First, sit is just a scoop over the nose. Down, I'll take my hand flat and I'll take her down. And then stay is a stop sign. And so I'll show you that. Again, come here. Come here. Come on. There you go. And I'll ask her to sit. Stay. Now she has great puppy stays, but always seek to be improving them. We add what we call the 3 Ds, and that's distance, duration, and distraction. By adding those 3 things, we build a solid stay. Okay, good girl. Now I'll show you her down stay, which I'll spin her around and I'll ask her to sit, down, stay. Now if she's in a sit stay, I don't care if she lays down. However, if she's in a down stay, never allowed to come up. Okay, good girl. Good girl. Now I'll also show you leave it real quick. And so if I drop it, this is one of those commands that you can use when you're out on a walk or you're out and about. There's something on the ground that you don't want her to get. And so I can drop a treat on the floor. Come on. Which may, come here. Get her off the bed so it's a little bit easier for her. But she's just kind of guessing what we're doing. I might throw that one in randomly then. Leave it. Oh, cheater. Put it too close, huh? Leave it. Okay, good girl. Good girl. Leave it. Okay, good girl. Now you'll notice that first time, when it was really close, I'll use the leash and give her just a quick leash correction, just because she was so close. Now on the other hand, where she was just walking up to that one, I didn't have to have control of the leash. She could just walk towards, and I just step and just tell her leave it, and I expect her just to leave it alone. So, the next 2, come here. And looking for those treats. The next 2 commands don't necessarily have a hand signal, but I'll point and tell her what to do. Daisy, go to bed. All I expect is that all 4 paws are on the bed. I don't care what position she's in, but then she is also expected to wait there until released. Okay, good girl. Now the same concept with the crate is I'll just tell her crate and expect her to go in freely, and then she's also expected to stay until released. Okay, good girl. Good girl. So that is it with kind of our main obedience commands. Now, real quick, we'll talk about our crate training as well as that crate command. Make sure that you treat the crate command very similar to the come. You don't want to use it just when you lock her up. Otherwise, she'll realize that she's getting locked up and she'll turn around the other way, or she will no longer go in. And so just practice that one randomly throughout the day. Just have her crate somewhere central that you can walk up, ask her to go in a time or two, and that way you're not just using it when you lock her up, but you can kind of keep it fun and entertaining. Good girl. Now, we've spent a lot of time making sure that she is comfortable in her crate, and she has done pretty well. Now, the transition can often cause the crate to be a little bit difficult for her, and the reason being is she just doesn't want to be away from you. She's enjoyed being around you, and then you lock her up and she feels like you're leaving her. So, right now she can be in there for up to 3 to 4 hour blocks during the day without needing a break, and she has been sleeping through the night from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. And so, but being that this transition period, if the next couple days it might be a good idea to let her out halfway through the night, as well as if she starts to whine, I would let her out. Just because during this transition period often causes them to have to go to the bathroom more frequently, as well as they can get a loose stool. And so, yeah, I might just set an alarm and halfway through the night give her a break, or like I said, if she starts to whine in the middle of the night. The one exception to the whining is if you just barely put her in there and she immediately starts to whine. The reason she's doing that is just because she wants to be with you. And so what I do is, one, you have to ignore, because if you start letting her out when she's whining immediately, she'll always whine just to get out. Instead, I might give her a bully stick to help her calm down, or I might throw a blanket over the front of the crate and just make it a little darker as well as she can't see you then, and help her relax. But she has done really well in the crate, and yeah, she's just a really good dog. So the other thing that's going to help you with the crate training as well as the house training is probably limiting water. I would take away her water by about 7 p.m. That way she has a good 3 hours to clear her system of that before she goes to bed. And I would only, I'd give it to her with meals and then probably 3 or 4 times throughout the day. The one exception to that is if she's outside, I'll give her free access to water. But we do feed them at about 7 o'clock in the morning and then 6 o'clock in the evening. I give her a cup and a half morning and night. As well as if I'm not working with her as much, I'll give her, maybe a cup in the middle of the day. Especially if it's cold, because she's burning those extra calories trying to keep warm. I also keep her on a supplement that's called NuVet. I'll send you some information, but it's an immune system supplement. I give it to them year-round, but that's especially important if they're going to be out in cold weather, as well as if it's wet. But anyway, great supplement. I'll send you some stuff about it. But with that, we're now going to move into our house training, and we'll talk about that. And I will show you how to transition the bell. I will also warn you that once I do this, she's going to want to ring the bell a lot, and so I will take it away just so we're not constantly going outside. So, we will do that now. So a couple things to remember with the house training. It is important that over the next 2 to 4 weeks that you have 100% supervision on your dog. That way she just doesn't have an opportunity to have the bathroom, as well as if she did try and squat, you could immediately correct it. Because if you don't see her go to the bathroom, there's nothing you can do about it. Whereas if I saw her squat, I would stomp, I'd clap, no, and I'm just going to grab her and run her outside. I also leave a short leash attached in that case so I can grab her and get her outside quickly. But if you follow my instructions, you shouldn't have an issue. I've had a lot of people go home and never have an accident in their house, whereas I have had other people that haven't followed them exactly, and they end up having issues. So, the first thing I want to do is I want to make it really exciting to ring the bell. And so I'm just going to kind of, we call it jackpot reward. I'm just going to give her lots of treats. I'll break them really small, but every time she touches the bell. And so it's really positive, really rewarding, but I'm going to have her lean out and touch it. I'll just hang it out in front of her. Okay, good girl. If she's hesitant to ring it, I would drag it on the ground, okay, and get her to chase it. Just make it so that it's fun for her. This is also where I can, I can choose how loud I want her to ring it. Like that, she just rang it softly, and so this time I won't reward that. I'll wait till she actually hits the bell. And I'm just going to be staring at the bells. Okay, a little bit harder, so I will reward that. Okay, good girl. And once she's consistently ringing them out of my hand, I'll walk over to the door. These bells don't really ring. The ones that I will send you do. So, come here. And so I'll just hang them on the door, and same thing, I'm just going to stare at them. And I'll reward it when she hits them a little bit harder. Okay, outside. Okay, outside. And I will start using that outside. Okay, outside. Now, okay, outside. This time I'm going to take her out. Okay, outside, let's go. And so we will run outside. Okay. Okay. Now, if I was doing this at your house, I'd turn around, have her ring the bell 3 or 4 more times, take her out again. Come back in, have her ring the bell a couple times, go back out again. And that way, I can get 4 or 5 repetitions of having her see where the bells are. She's ringing them. We're going outside where you want her to go to the bathroom, then you're coming right back in. It is really important that the first time that you take her out to that potty spot, when she goes, it is super rewarding. Tell her, get outside, good girl, pet her lots, give her treats. Make it just super, super rewarding. And I'll do that for the first, couple days. Every time that she goes, super rewarding. If she doesn't go, there's just no emotion. I'm just turning around, coming right back inside. The way that you can kind of judge it is if she's sniffing around, I'm going to give her time. But I won't give her more than maybe a minute or 2. Whereas if she just comes and she sits in front of me or she's just staring up at me, I'm going to come right back in because she probably doesn't need to go. So now, you've had her ring the bell 4 or 5 times, or go outside after ringing the bell 4 or 5 times. At that point, I'd bring her in and I would set a timer for 30 minutes. And for the next day to 2 days, I would keep that that timer on 30 minutes, taking her over, having her ring the bell, going outside every 30 minutes. That way you're staying ahead of her pee schedule. She's not going to have an accident because she doesn't have an opportunity to have an accident. And so after a day or 2, I'll start to lengthen it, go to 45 minutes, go to an hour to 2 hours. Along with that, I will start lengthening myself from the bell. And so I'll pull up a chair maybe 10 feet away, kind of stare at the bell when you hit that timer. And she's smart enough that she reads your body language as well as your eye contact, and she tries to figure out what you want. And so she'll start doing different things, just trying to get your attention. And that way, she's having to go and ring the bell on her own without you standing over it. Now, 2 hours is our standard that they can be inside without needing a break. Once you hit that 2 hours, I would not surpass that for the next month, probably. I just don't want to give her the opportunity to have an accident, because once she has an accident, everything becomes a little bit more difficult, because then you're having to keep her away from that area. Now, really the most important part to the house training is 100% supervision. If you can't give her that supervision, put her in the crate. Use that as an asset. And if she's in the crate, she doesn't need to go out every 30 minutes. You can wait 2-3 hours. The other thing to look for, if she starts to sniff really heavily, she starts doing circles, she probably needs to go to the bathroom, so I would take her over, have her ring the bell, go outside. Also, within an hour of eating, she generally has to go. And if she's been asleep for more than 30 minutes to an hour, I'm going to take her over and give her the opportunity to go. Now, I hope that all made sense. If you do have any questions about the house training, don't hesitate. Give me a phone call, shoot me a text, email, whatever it is, and we will make sure that we answer your questions so that she transitions over relatively easy. She has done a phenomenal job with it. I've been really impressed. And so I don't think that you'll have issues, but make sure 100% supervision. Also, when I bring a new puppy in, I like to keep her in a smaller space. That way I'm not having to watch her all over the house. I know that she can't get into a bedroom and accidentally shut a door, because I've had that happen before. But now with that, we are going to do her leash work. and we'll go outside for part of that. I'll show you how I expect her to behave on the leash. We also have 2 commands with that. First is let's go, just signify that we are walking now. The second is easy if she starts to pull. Easy is another time that I might give her a leash, or I would give her a leash correction. If she starts to pull, I'll plant myself, I will stop, tell her easy, give her the 2 pops on the leash, and I expect her to put the slack back in the leash. I will show you a little drill out there that if she starts just not paying attention, she's just kind of wandering, I will do quick repetitions of I'll walk. As soon as she gets past my side, I'll tell her let's go, give her a little snap on the leash, turn around, walk the other way. As soon as she gets distracted, turn around, walk the other way. And so you're just constantly switching directions every time she stops paying attention to you. But she has done really well with that. Like I said, we'll go outside and show you that walk. We call that our attention walk. The other type of walk that we do take them on is an off leash or a long lead walk. And we do that just so that they can be a dog. They can run around, explore, sniff, and we try and take them on that type of walk at least once a week. And when I do that little come exercise that I was telling you about in the backyard. This time I'll do it as we're walking. I'll call her every minute or 2 to keep her checking in. She comes running up to me, I give her a treat, I let her go again. So it's super rewarding to come back to you because she's getting a little treat, but she's also being able to run around and play. So we'll go outside now, and I will show you her walk. Now, come here. When I do start this type of walk, I do like to have her sit just to get her focus on me. And then when we're going, I'll just tell her, let's go. I am looking for this J shape in the leash as well as her paying attention to me. Let's go. Now, if she got to the point where she's getting out in front of me, like I was talking about, let's go. I just do quick back and forth. Let's go. Oh, well. As well as I'll start kind of walking into her. Let's go. Away from her. I just want to make sure that she's going to focus on me. Let's go. And if she's focused, let's go. She's not going to get pulled, but if she loses focus, it's not as positive. Good girl, good girl. Thank you once again for allowing us to train Daisy. She really is just a sweetheart of a dog. And please, if you do have any questions, don't hesitate. Reach out to me, whether you call, text, email. Doesn't matter. We'll get back to you. We want to make sure that transition is as painless as possible. But we really have enjoyed her, and I hope you guys have a Merry Christmas.